Welcome to the Think Governance podcast channel, where we unpack governance questions at a deeper level to directors that help boards become more effective and agile, ultimately leading to better business.
It's my absolute pleasure to have Shirley Machaba in studio with me today. Shirley, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me today, Parmi.
So, for those who don't know, Shirley is a long-standing member of the IoDSA. We go way back. She holds our Pinnacle Chartered Director SA designation. She's best known for being the CEO of PwC South Africa, and I believe the first Black female CEO. She's a chartered accountant by profession, has received numerous awards over her career, and her board experience includes time served at IIASA, BLSA, and IWFSA, to mention a few. So Shirley, so good to chat with you again. So I think let's start off. Over your long and illustrious career, what is the one thing that makes you most proud?
Indeed, Parmi, I'm very proud that I'm living a purposeful life, which really enables me to leave a sustainable legacy. I'm also very proud that I'm amongst the few who were able to attain the CDSA qualification, which is really the highest qualification in corporate governance. I have also been able to encourage the young and old to really take on these CDSA qualifications with the aim of enhancing their governance profiles and also personally through formal and informal mentorship programs. I must say I also participated in those programs. I also managed to have the opportunity to contribute to aspiring professionals who are today very decent, competent, excellent directors in the boardroom, which is really aligned to my Lift as I Rise belief. And, what excites me is that these directors, they are competent in such a way that it aligns again to your tagline of IoDSA, better directors, better boards, better businesses. The other opportunity that I really am proud of is the opportunity that was presented by IoDSA to enhance my networks, to build my quality and sustainable relationships through various events. I know I don't necessarily attend all of them, but the ones that I attend, they're really impactful to me.
So key words that stood out for me there, purposeful life, sustainable legacy, and lift as you rise. It's just, phenomenal for me. And obviously you live this in your daily life. Why do you think corporates should be encouraged to also consider what they're doing? So the purpose of the corporate, whether they're being sustainable, whether they're empowering young people.
So, Parmi, when I look back, I realized that ethical leadership is very important. And given the challenges that we are confronted with, and it's not necessarily in South Africa, it's across the world. Mm-hmm. We have evolving mega trends. We have a short-term crisis. When you come back in South Africa, there's a lot happening. And again, amongst, public and private sector space, there are governance challenges. So we really need directors who are competent, passionate, compassionate as well, because we are dealing with people. When you walk into the boardroom, you are, dealing with people, whether it's management and, whoever. People are collaborative, people who have courage, so that at least they can be able to address those governance challenges.
So you touched on my next question, and you mentioned already chartered director, and I guess the benefits for the young person, improving themselves, getting up to date, all those things. What's the benefit for South Africa and business in South Africa if we start to professionalize directorship?
For me, it's the benefits are multitude, in the sense that it's a cocktail, if I can put it that way. In the sense that you will know that Africa in general, in particular South Africa, is a very young population. When it comes to governance, you find that there's all these young aspiring directors. However, the experience is not there. They're not up to date with the challenges. When I talk about challenges, let me give you an example, climate change. As a director, you are expected to be up to date with what is supposed to happen around climate change. So it empowers them. And at the same time, we're able to really deal with societal challenges because we don't necessarily have diverse, directors in the boardroom. So as much as we try and develop those young directors, we are creating a critical mass, a pipeline of strong directors who are going to contribute to society at large. And when I say society at large, given the challenges in South Africa, it's important to have a capable state. By having those directors who are competent, you can imagine what happens in the boardroom if there's governance challenges. They're going to be courageous to ask the right questions. Yeah, and eventually we have better businesses.
So since you mentioned the state, one of the things we try to focus on at the IoDSA over the years is how board members get appointed in general, but then specifically in the public sector where we feel there should be a more independent process in how board members get chosen versus the current very political process. Do you have thoughts on that?
I think it's a noble idea. Parmi, our profession is very small. We connected to each other. I remember very well the other time, I won't mention the name of the department, they were looking for a very key position to be filled. They contacted me personally to say, Shirley, can you help? We know you are not going to come, but talk to your friends. And friends, we're talking CAs, CDSAs and all those. And when you contact them, they don't have the appetite. So really, if we are going to focus also in the public sector, professionalizing board members in the public sector, it will really go a long way in ensuring that we have the right people who are up to date with the latest developments in corporate governance. People who are courageous. Again, I keep on using the word courageous because you have seen a situation where board members are there, but they're not asking questions. They're not asking the right questions.
They're filling seats.
Yeah, they're filling seats and they're putting on their CV to say, I'm a board member here and there. But what impact are you making? For me, it's about a sustainable impact.
So over your career, what are some of the big lessons that you've learned?
So the lessons that I learned overall, it's a lot, but I will really pick and choose. Once you are ethical consistently, you have nothing to worry about when you go to bed. As I said before, we are faced with numerous challenges both in the private and public sector. We need those directors who are really competent, courageous, collaborative, and compassion. The world is really confronted with a lot of challenges. We need leaders who are able to inspire, motivate, encourage as well, and innovate so that they can be able to transcend those tried and tested approaches. Because, right now, the way we are going in the whole world, we can't continue to focus on tried and tested. We need to be, thinking out of the box. Yeah.
As the world changes, we're seeing the impact of AI now on business and what that impact is going to have on boardrooms. I read an article that globally an international board has actually got an AI bot on their board now as a voting board member.
Exactly. So you see, Parmi, at PwC, we always talk about the mega trends, and we're saying they're forever evolving. Like climate change, technological disruptions, AI is part of that.
Yeah.
The whole social instability in South Africa is a lot.
Yes.
Demographic shifts, fractured world. The other day I was reading an article, by the way, because we are faced with elections, I'm forever, following, but, I'm fatigued now. So, while we know that Gauteng in particular is a smaller region, majority of the people are flocking to Gauteng because that's where everything is happening. So when you have a board member in a particular organization that are dealing with these situations, that person should be empowered to be able to navigate through those challenges and empower management.
So you came up with the 4 C's. I took four words down as you were chatting, right? You came up with the 4 C's for which a good director, I think, should be able to display is competence, creativity, collaboration, and compassion. That's really a lovely takeaway for our listeners. So what tips would you give the next generation of directors if you were sitting with a young IOD member now saying, I want to be a non-executive director in 5 years' time?
So some of the tips are already indicated in my interview, but all I want to again repeat is that IoDSA provide a lot of invaluable opportunities. I think it's upon all of us, including the younger aspiring directors, to empower themselves, make sure that they're up to date with the latest developments. Yes, you can't be everywhere. However, IoDSA has a variety of platforms. It can be in-person events. It can be, on the website. By the way, yesterday I was going through your website because I was completing some form internally. So there's so much that, you have no excuse to say, I don't have information. Information is unlimited. You just have to choose because you need to be different. You need to be relevant.
Yeah. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, because what we sometimes find is people want to get there, but they want to get there easy. And they want the big positions first. And so, we often at the IOD encourage serving even pro bono on non-profits, on professional bodies, even on homeowners associations and medical aids and whatever people belong to. I mean, in your experience, and I know you've mentored many young women, I'm going to assume, but maybe all genders. What sort of advice do you give them to, I guess, start somewhere?
So I think you triggered my mind,
Yeah.
because when I look at my career, every time when I'm addressing young people, by the way, I'll be having a public lecture at UJ. I do a lot of that. I always have the 10 principles or 10 lessons, but I'm not going to, bore you with the 10. I'm going to talk about the point you made. My journey started with also empowering myself, taking the opportunity of volunteerism. Volunteerism worked for me big time, and I'm still doing it. That's why we're talking about IWFSA. I started my volunteerism at the IIA, because that time it made sense because I was an internal auditor. Without really looking at what I'm getting in return financially, but the important thing is that, you have to invest your time. Sometimes young people ask me, how do you do it? I create time. I once listened to somebody saying, if the president can have time, who are you? So I make time all the time. I make calls when I'm traveling, So do you know that I'm still involved with the IIA? They can't let go of me because, again, going back to the point that we made earlier to say, you are not just going to warm the seat when you're a board member or whatever committee. You need to prepare so that at least when you are given that opportunity to attend the meeting, you ask the right questions. Yeah. So it built me because when I look at the experience that I have in the boardroom, it started there by volunteering. You mentioned non-profit organizations. I'm sure you have picked up in my submission that I'm also now a board member for Pathfinder International. Pathfinder is a global organization. Am I getting paid? No. But why am I doing that? It's because I don't want my governance experience to rust. I know as the CEO, I'm also the board member at PwC, but I want to have a feel of what's going on out there, particularly on the societal, contribution, because Pathfinder is a non-profit organization. It deals with gender issues and whatever. So you keep learning. I keep on saying to people, if you stop learning, you are dead.
So, I mean, you're really talking about this concept of giving back and serving. And sometimes you'll find there's a misconception. People think being a non-executive director is a lot of money for only 4 meetings a year. They think it sounds like glamorous and a cushy position to be in, etc. But, I often try and tell them, there's a lot of risk coming with it as well if you don't do it correctly. And really you're meant to be there to serve. That's the be all and end all of it. Like, you're there to serve the organization. So very much agree with you there. Thank you so much, Shirley. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
So my final thoughts are, we have a very bright future in South Africa, irrespective of what is happening. Parmi, I'm a very hopeful and positive person. Sometimes when you listen to me, you'll think that I'm paid for what I say. So there's a lot of opportunities. Despite the challenges, there's a lot of opportunities. All we need to do, particularly the younger people, is to embrace those opportunities and proactively learn on a regular basis. I don't want to say on a daily basis because people have their own full-time jobs. Yeah, make sure that you are empowering yourself big time so that at least when you get to whatever position you have, yes, you don't stop learning, but you are prepared. And here, when I talk about the position, I'm talking particularly board members because, the landscape has just widened. There are opportunities, particularly if you are a person of color, if you are a female, so many opportunities, but please be prepared.
Yeah.
And also be prepared to also serve a non-profit so that at least you are contributing to society.
Such an uplifting message as we enter this election period in our country, which I think is going to be quite telling. Thank you so much. I enjoyed speaking to you as always, and I'm sure our listeners have taken a lot away from this conversation.
Thank you so much, Parmi. I also enjoyed the conversation.
And thank you so much to all of you for listening.
Thank you for listening to today's episode.